Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm 1,000 years old.
And this week, we dispense Joseon-era dating advice with the 2016 K-drama web series Love for 1,000 More. Before we explain why turtles are the best pets, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, or following us on Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron.
What's your history with K-dramas?
I love them. I think they're great. I wish I had time to watch more of them, but many of them are subtitled, and therefore it's hard to sit and focus on them. I love, personally, my friend and I are in the middle of Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, which is very good, but we've stopped it because it's too good, and therefore making us feel emotions that we're not prepared to feel. And then Business Proposals, the one we watched last time, which was a fake marriage one that was very good.
Okay. See, I think this might be the first K-drama I've ever seen, which is, I think that's just a fact that's like my media diet is like Mortified is maybe like the vitamin, the supplemental vitamin to my media diet, which is normally just tabletop and video games. So like I don't think I've listened or watched a lot of stuff made in Korea, but how do you get into K-dramas?
It's like a viral infection. You need someone to like sneeze in your mouth about it.
Okay.
And so I will say, based on my admittedly somewhat limited experience with K-dramas, of the like modern romance subgenre, the one we watched is representative of the structure, but not necessarily of the quality.
Yes, unfortunately, I think this one has, in fact, vaccinated me against any further infections from K-drama fandom. This was a rough one to watch. I don't think it wasn't terrible, but it was disappointing, I think, and we'll talk about why that didn't work. And I think it'll be very useful for you to guide me through this because, like, you clearly have experience with that, like, style and culture, and I don't. And I'm going to be basically asking questions like, hey, is this a production issue, or is it just, like, something that I'm not getting with the genre? I think this will be an interesting conversation. For some background, Love for 1,000 More is a 2016, basically this was released over basically in December. Like it was all these episodes were dropped on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in December of 2016. There's 10 episodes we watched. Each of them is about between 15 and 20 minutes long, and it stars the two stars are I'm going to look up their names real quick. Wang Seung-yo. No, that's not right. Wang Seung-yeon. This is embarrassing. But that's the main actress. But the lead actor Kang Seung-yoon, he's like a boy band star. That's why he's kind of in this thing. He is a singer in the K-pop band Winner, which is why I kind of assumed this was like kind of musical themed, why he played, a music producer in this, and why all the comments of the YouTube.
No, listen.
He could do it all.
I have great respect for music producers. I have no respect for DJs.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about why his character, Junun, doesn't work. I didn't have a whole lot of respect for his character here. I don't think it mattered. I just, based on the comments of the YouTube videos, I feel like the audience for this was between the ages of 13 and 16.
Yes.
Which is why none of it really worked. Some of it worked, but a lot of it, especially the romance, was just nothing for me. And I kind of assume you feel the same way.
Well, I did type "this is nothing" about 14 times. Notes. Is that where you're pulling that information from?
Yeah, kind of. But we'll talk about it. We're going to go through the plot and kind of hit the major beats, because I think this is like a pretty interesting premise that unfortunately didn't develop in the way I would have liked it 2. And we'll talk about, why, and maybe we're not the right audience for this, but let's see where things break down for us. So Mijo is a woman who was mysteriously given immortality. She's lived for about 999 years, so that's where the name of the show comes from. Because she's been alive for so long, she's dated a lot of men, mostly in the Chosheng dynasty, which is like a roughly, I want to say, 500-year period of Korean history. That I believe ended around the time of the Second World War. I'm talking out of my ass. I'm gonna look that up here in a sec. But it's that's kind of where all of her 1897, so way before the Second World War, but 1392 to 1897. So that's kind of where all of her relationship advice comes from, which I think is a really fun bit. But yeah, she now, because she's had all this dating advice, she runs a business as a love counselor because she can see through all of the relationship problems that might happen because she's dated over 300 people, which is very funny. And any thoughts on the initial setup?
I did not know you could monetize relationship advice. I've been giving it out for free this whole time. Notably, I have one friend who I love dearly, and if she ever... Actually, I think her and her partner might listen to this podcast. But while she was dating, many a libertarian crossed her path, and I would have to talk her down. And one day I said, we got to get you a bisexual, and then that'll fix all your problems. And guess what happened? And guess who was right? So I think that should be my first testimonial for my new lucrative side business, most of which I'm sure will be me telling really hot women to break up with their uninteresting boyfriends.
I was going to say, like, a lot of queer people, I feel like, do this exact thing, which is like, hey, you need to dump this man you're obsessed with.
Yes. I mean, so many of my notes we'll talk about Yeonji, but yeah.
I will also say I am currently in a household where a significant portion of the majority, in fact, of our household income comes from somebody giving relationship advice because my wife is a marriage counselor. So, like,
that's true.
It is a monetizable career. You do have to go to school for it for a long time. Otherwise, you're doing whatever Mijo is.
Well, I was going to say I don't want to go back to school.
Yes, which is understandable.
Yes.
So anyway, we get this like opening section with Mijo talking about like all the wars she's lived through, essentially, which again I think is such an underutilized aspect of her character because there's like a gag where like she's like eating this bowl of rice and like every time she's about to take a bite, a pair of soldiers from a different era of history, marches into her house and like. That's like a silly gag, but I'm like, this woman has lived through centuries of warfare. She has like incredible PTSD, I bet.
I sure bet she does. And I'm sure it has something to do with the way she approaches dealing with mortals and how expendable their lives are. But much like some other throwaway gags that are more interesting than the show that we got, we did not get that exploration.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing here. Anyway, she believes that she's living through another earthquake or invasion when her upstairs neighbors, start to play this very loud music. She, goes up to confront them, and she meets the hip hop / rap group Crunk Soul.
Crunk with a K, Krunk.
Yeah, no, incredible name. That's very funny and good. There's like 3 20-somethings in there. There's Yeonji. Who is the only other major woman in this story. There's
Love her.
Hyung-sik, who I believe is he gay? I
don't think so, but Lord, do I love him.
Yeah, because there's a bit where like they talk about how Junwoo, who is the love interest and main character, where Hyung-sik, like, they're trying to figure out whether or not Junwoo was gay, and Hyung-sik, like, jumped on him and, like, put his arm around him and was like, hey, buddy, how's it going? So, like, I thought maybe Hyung-sik, was in love with him. I guess not, because at the end, we'll talk about it, but it's revealed that he is attracted to women to some degree. But, like, Yeah, I don't know. He like says ancient quotes all the time, which is why he gets along with Mijo, because she was there when those quotes were written, which is really funny. So yeah, he's great. And then Junu. Junu is the 24-year-old like leader of the group. He's their main producer. He also does DJ work. He's their lyricist. He's like the heart and soul of the group. The group doesn't really operate without him. And he's he's going to be the main love interest. So when Mijo goes up to yell at these group of 20-somethings who are playing music very loud above her, Junu surprises her by he like seems to recognize her. He comes up and gives her a hug, which she is shocked by. She is not thrilled about it. When he realizes that this isn't reciprocated, I believe he like throws her to the ground or something.
Yes. Normal behavior.
Yeah, and he's like, sorry. Anyway, leaves. He's like, you just reminded me of someone. That's how their relationship starts.
Sure. Yeah. Success story right there. That's what I love. I love when a man hugs me without consent and then pushes me to the ground. That's for me.
Leyla, can you tell me anything about the dating scene in South Korea? Because I don't have any idea of like how comparable it is to the United States.
I mean, I hear tell from friends of mine who have lived in South Korea or traveled to South Korea that there is a fuckboy epidemic among the young men in South Korea. That's really all I know. But I feel like fuckboy epidemic is pretty global at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say like join the club. But like, I guess I was just thinking like you think of Asian cultures. I guess you meaning the Americans think of Asian cultures as being more conservative, right? Not really, encouraging people, especially young people, to like live together. Especially if they are not married. In fact, in Singapore, which is where, half of my family is from, you can't qualify for government housing if you're not married and with your partner. So like, I think there is some degree of truth to like some Asian countries have more conservative dating rules than we do here. But like, yeah, I just don't know if the weirdness of this whole relationship is because of like a cultural difference, but I suspect it is not.
Yeah. I wouldn't know, but my impression is that I think it's so hard to tell. I don't know, but based on the very limited slice that you get from media, I think it is a slightly more conservative dating culture than maybe what we're used to in certain senses, with maybe some slightly more rigid gender roles. But I don't know because I don't live there.
Right.
But to me, it's not globally, from what I understand, I don't think anyone is having fun right now.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of nice that we're all having a bad time together.
Yeah, all in it together.
So the story of this series progresses when Yeonji, the girl member of the group, asks, yeah, she's great, deserves much better than what she gets. She asks.
A threshold does get crossed for me, but we'll talk about it.
Oh, we'll talk about it. Excellent. So she goes down to ask Mijo for her relationship advice because she is in love with Junu. She has been in love with him for 3 years. He's the reason that she got into music. She's obsessed with him. But they call him like the stone statue or something because like he has never shown any interest in relationships. There's like a little cutaway gag, like a woman comes up to him in a bar and she's like, I wish there was something special between us. And he's like, yeah, me too. A wall leaves.
That was the only time he made me laugh.
Yes. Yeah. So like he's, doesn't have a really, it doesn't seem like he's interested in dating. But Yeonji is obsessed with him. So she asks for Mijo's advice. And Mijo's like, okay, listen, I'm very good at my job. I will promise you that Junu will fall in love with you in 30 days. And once he does, you all have to move out. And Yeonji's like, yeah, that's a deal. Easy. And we get, that's how they start the premise of the show. But there's a side plot going on. Do you want to talk about the Mythomania support group?
Yeah, I love the Mythomania support group. So this is like a cold close, I think. This is how most of the episodes closes with Mijo as part of this group. And so it's Dr. Dong Hyun is like the psychologist involved in this group therapy. Fiona, who cosplays as Fiona from Shrek, because she says that it turns beautiful at night and nobody believes her. And to that I say, the only reason she's like considered ugly is because she's like a little chubby and they put her in God's worst wig. You put a little bit of volume in that, Bob. She's a cute girl, so let's everybody relax. Then there's the NASA alien research team member who is fine as hell, would. It might just be the glasses, but he had a beautiful jawline too. Sorry, I got distracted by how hot I think that man is. Then there was the man with breast cancer. That's his whole role. They don't have names really. That's what they are. They're all in this counseling group because they're all allegedly lying about their histories, including Mijo, who's like, I'm an immortal woman. Nobody believes me. The frazzled doctor, one of the best gags in the show is us seeing what the doctors are writing on the computer. So twice it's the doctor being like, God, these people are crazy. Right. And then one time it's a different doctor that came and then that doctor is telling him that he saw Mijo like heal. And that the second doctor is like, this is bizarre.
God, these people are crazy, right? It's the same thing, which is very funny. I think I liked the support group scenes like more than 90% of what happens in the show, unfortunately.
Hard agree.
Yeah, I think they're like silly, but also they are like cutting through to the core of their character much more quickly, and they're all like pretty likable, I think.
Yes. I agree. Sorry, my cat's talons are in my thigh. It hurts very bad.
Yeah, listeners, Leyla's setup is a little unorthodox today. We're going to be having a quick hiatus while Leyla moves here in a couple of weeks. We'll give you a warning, probably the next episode you hear after this. But currently, to preserve their sound quality, Leyla is recording with what appears to be a pink towel over their head. I can only see half of their face. They are smiling, grimacing in pain as Toulouse climbs them.
I'm also, in order to keep the towel afloat, barely 2 inches over the microphone, again, to preserve my sound quality, I have to sit perfectly still and upright, and it is hurting my back in a big way.
This is the sacrifices we're making for you, listener.
Yes.
This is the Mortified promise.
Yes.
We will. We are out also, here doing our best.
You could tell that we're recording outside of our normal times the last couple of episodes because we are criminally insane.
We're going normal. We're having a normal, cool, awesome time. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I like the support group. I think they're great. I think I think they're a little bit of like, not really a Greek chorus, but like they are reinforcing the themes. They're like exactly what a B plot is supposed to be doing. They're like, hey, this is what is happening in the A plot, but we're talking about it kind of differently here. But then also sometimes they just talk about their own insane shit, which is really fun. I love them. There's also Jason. Jason shows up. What do you think about Jason?
Jason! I had a little bit of an emotional roller coaster about Jason because at first I loved him because he's kind of dumb and really hot. And then we find out the most critical part about him is that he's a man who has lived in Korea his entire life, but his name is Jason. Which
yes, to me that is a big red flag, huh?
Yeah, to me that was a little bit crazy. But then the speed at which I turned around on him again, and he became easily my favorite character, was incredible. He is so stupid, but like so well-meaning. My favorite part is when he tricks Mijo into donating blood for the free snacks.
Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, Jason's hilarious. He kind of rubbed me the wrong way initially because he's like really into Mijo and like tries to kiss her, and she's like, "Hey, dude, I don't like you like that." But like he's still like happy and upbeat and like pretty normal about being rejected. I guess he has like a minor tantrum, but other than that, he's fine. But yeah, like he is such a contrast to Junu because he is like so happy and
likable, nice.
Yeah. It really is that, huh? I don't. 2016 was almost 10 years ago at this point, so like I don't think the culture has shifted that much in 10 years. But like we're done with brooding, edgelords in 2016, right? That's not a thing that people are into anymore, or were ever perhaps into. I guess Twilight, but still.
I feel like people are still pretty into like Loki from Marvel. He's not really brooding, I guess.
No, because he's like kind of silly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are done with broody edgelords. There has to be like a level of earnestness nowadays.
Right. And I mean, I think Juno gets there. I think he does show earnestness eventually. But yeah, initially he is just like such a cold fish. It's hard to like him.
Yeah.
So that's the issue, right? Is that, and that's also kind of the point of his character, right? Is that he is like he is the stone statue type guy. So Mijo and Youngji start doing schemes to get Juno to fall in love with her. I mean, so there's a couple things. Like at first, Mijo's like, you gotta make him laugh. So there's like a whole series where she tries to do a bunch of puns. Youngji does, and none of them are very good, and it doesn't work. Then Mijo starts to like investigate him. There's a bit where they find out that Junu is like working a part-time job to help them move out of the studio upstairs. And he's like working as a mascot and dancing there. And Mijo and Junu have this like mascot dance off. Like she's wearing like a mascot with a tomato head, and he's like a bear of some sort, and they have a dance off. And I thought that part was really cute. But yeah, how do you feel about these?
I want to know where she got the suit.
Had it on deck.
I guess so. I thought they were cute. I thought the puns were cute. I thought the dance-off was cute. I thought that all the little montage-y stuff was very cute. And for a moment, like, it does give you an idea that Junu's, like, got to stick up his ass, but is, like, a nice guy, or has... Or you get the sense that maybe through a comedy of errors, he will, like, start to connect to Mijo, and, like, she'll, like, open him up because she is so... She's not silly, like, LOL XD silly. She's silly as in, like, I've lived 1,000 years, and... I just want to be kind of a retired old woman and I don't care what you think about it silly, which is a great source of comedy. It was cute. This was where I was like watching the show and I was like into the vibes and I was like, okay, I kind of get it. I'm picking up what it's putting down. It's not like the best thing I've ever watched, but it doesn't start to get frustrating for another couple of episodes for me.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's fair. Especially when they get into the actual romance stuff. Like, yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that's also where I like struggle to figure out where the connection between the two of them happens, right? Because like Mijo and Junu start like, bumping into each other because, they're neighbors, but, also Mijo's like kind of spying on him. And like she starts to learn more about him. We learn like his backstory, which is that he is an orphan. His family was killed in a bus accident, and he was saved by a neighbor who happens to look like exactly like Mijo. And like I don't remember how he shares that with her. Why do they have this connection? Why do they feel like they can share this stuff with each other? I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know.
Okay. It wasn't just me then.
No. I wish I could tell you. It felt contrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the death knell for any romantic piece of media. Like, if you go into something and it's a romance, you know that two people are going to end up together. And the hard part about that is trying to make that setup feel good. Like to be like, okay, we know they're going to end up together. How do they end up together? Why do they like each other? And like, if you can't stick that landing, it's really hard to, it's really hard to have a satisfying conclusion to your narrative. And yeah, I think that Love for 1,000 Years doesn't get there. Like the connection that I feel like I'm remembering, is that Junu is like struggling because they can't find a rapper or whatever. Yes. And Mijo like convinces him to sing the bridge or whatever. And
No, she tells him that she somehow picks up on the fact that he hates that the world changes around him and is like, why don't you sing about something that doesn't change?
Right. Okay. And
how does she pick up on that? I don't know.
Yes, right. There's no indication that she would be able to know that besides the fact that she's a wise old woman. I guess that retrospectively, okay, it makes sense that he'd be attracted to her because she's 1,000 years old, so she's very stable, which I guess is nice. But yeah, like, because we don't speak Korean, we couldn't really understand what the lyrics to that song were. So I think that is on us, unfortunately, that we didn't. I sincerely doubt that hearing the lyrics to that song would really have opened up some sort of like character, breakthrough for us. But yeah, like that's kind of how they start connecting. But again, it just feels weird, right? She doesn't like him initially. I guess one day he sees her struggling to change a light bulb and he changes it for her. And then he stands like uncomfortably close to her face for 10 seconds. And I don't know. Is that's one of the things when I was talking about cultural stuff earlier, like, is that a part of the media of the K-pop oeuvre?
It's a weird imitation of what sometimes happens in K-drama, which is to say, like, yeah, you're going to have this, like, kind of meet cute moment, and then the two characters stare at each other, and then, yes, there are always sparkles, and yes, there is always music. That is a staple. But it just... He literally changed her light bulb without saying anything, and then told her to get out of the way, and then left, and that was supposed to be hot. I was like, what? Didn't necessarily work for me.
It was very strange.
And I'm easy.
Yeah.
You make fun of me for how easy I am all the time. It's so simple and easy for me to be into, like a man's bare minimum, and this didn't do it for me, which is sad. It didn't cross a very low bar.
Right. This might be one of the first times we've reviewed a romantic thing that didn't hit for us. Because, we watched fucking Valentine's Day a couple years ago, and that show was fucking filth, but we loved it.
Yeah, we had fun.
So, like, yeah, I don't know. I think fun really is a critical element in romance media. You have to feel like the actors are having a good time, even if they're in bad situations.
Yes.
What am I thinking about? What else happened here? About halfway... Oh, we also learn that Mijuo became immortal because she was, like, wounded once when she was, a young person, and a ninja gave her an immortality potion.
Yeah. And, okay, he has her shot through the heart in his lap, and he says, this will save your life, but it'll be a different life. I think it's actually a shorter walk to say, this will save your life, but you can never die. Yeah,
I mean, maybe ninjas just like to fuck with you like that. I don't know. But yeah, he could have disclaimed
the only
more.
Ninja, the only ninja I know of that I've ever gotten any communication from is the Fortnite streamer. So,
I would actually prefer to have less communication from that ninja if I had my druthers.
Yeah, well, his hair's blue. I don't know. It's so maybe my perception of what ninja communications are is a little bit warped. But it actually, okay, hold on. I'm thinking of this now. It actually would have been funnier if they went full comedy with it, and the ninja delivered the news in like an old style proverb, just like the blonde roommate does, just to establish that through line. I think that would have been funny.
Yeah, that would have been a little bit. Because, like, I do think the parts where they do that, like, harkening back to ancient wisdom, it does work, especially because, like, we didn't talk about this, but, like, the reason that Mijo is so good at her, job is that she's, like, remembering old boyfriends, like, from the Choshin Dynasty, and, like, we get flashbacks to them. And, like, she's talking about how, like, she dated the guy who invented the rain gauge, and, like, how she, made him fall for her. And, like, that's funny, right? That's really hysterical, like, how the guy, like, will not hang out with her. He takes the rain gauge to the bathroom because he's so obsessed with it.
Yeah, but then, I loved that, but then they ruined it because she got all sentimental about the objects when she was giving Junu that tour of like, because he was looking for things that don't change, and like she was giving him a tour of all these like sentimental objects she had for all these exes. I'm like, the tonal whiplash I'm getting about these relationships is buck wild.
Right. It's very strange. So anyway, like we get to this part where the breast cancer man and Fiona start hooking up at the not like at the group, but like they announce that they're together at the support group. We also learn that Jason is immortal too. What the hell?
We did not see this coming. This was not predicted. This was not in the stars. This was not in the cards. I thought he was going to cut her with that piece of glass.
Right. But then it seemed really scary.
But then he cut himself, and then his arm healed, and he's like, I'm just like you. And I was like, this is more compelling than anything I've seen in this show. So apparently 15 years ago, he just like became immortal.
Yeah. He has no memory of it. And he's just been kind of chilling since then, which is very funny.
And donating blood regularly. What are the implications of this? Are other people becoming immortal? Are they getting cured of their
genuinely,
disease?
Truly, I thought that's what was going to be revealed, is that like Mijo had been like donating blood, after the accident or whatever. And that's how Jason got his immortality, is he got some of her blood or something.
Oh my God, that would have been cool. But no. We leave that thread, and then Mijo also just like says she's had medical experiments done on her body, and it's not, that's it. That's all we hear of it, is that throwaway line. Right.
The Jason thread does get resolved, which is great. We'll talk about that at the very end. But I just wish that they would play with the supernatural a little bit more. I guess, listeners, I did a brief survey of the kind of media that we talk about here at Mortified, and like we do skew heavily fantasy, I feel like, and maybe that's just the kind of thing that I care about, that we care about. It's like stuff that is not, that has that speculative element.
No, let's read Ronan Farrow's War on Peace next. Let's read a long journalistic book about the fall of American diplomacy.
I don't know that
it's about Kissinger.
Okay, hold on.
He's got Kissinger in it.
Hey, listen, maybe. We'll see. What if we start spicing things up dramatically here in season 6? Who the fuck knows?
I mean, we already are.
Yeah. So anyway, Mijo and Junu, for whatever reason, start getting closer to each other. And she eventually takes him to this 400-year-old tree that she's like loved for many years. And they play this game where they lie to each other. They just tell lies to each other. What did this do anything for you? This like setup? Okay.
I was more confused by the rules of the game and therefore distracted.
Okay, good. I also felt very confused about what was happening. But basically, it's a way for them to confess to each other without confessing to each other. There is a funny part where after Mijo is like, I'm 1,000 years old. I've been medically experimented on. I've lived all these lives. And also, this flower is really good for you. You should eat it. And then Junu eats it, and it tastes like shit. She's just like, well, remember, we're still playing the game. Which is, okay, that was pretty good. And yeah, Junu like confesses that he is developing feelings for her. And it's all fine. And at the same time, Youngji is noticing that both Mijo and Junu are like acting differently. Junu takes the garbage out and cooks his roommate's dinner for once in his goddamn life, and she's like, he must be in love.
I had a very limited amount of time between the end of my shift and this recording, and like having to finish this show and pick up my dog. The way I was trying to figure out how I could possibly go to Wegmans and get myself some fucking ramen after watching you cook that shit.
The ramen looks delicious.
It looked great. It was like kimchi ramen. Ooh, I would fuck that up.
100%. Yeah, no. I mean that part was great. All of the visual design of this I think is pretty good. The outfits are incredible. Everybody looks killer.
They look killer for 2016. I wrote plenty of notes about how I wish they would put Mijo in like a different silhouette because I had her in an A-line skirt the entire time, and it's just not very flattering on her. And also the lip gloss colors bothered me a lot. But other than that, Yeonji's outfits were great. Her makeup could have used some work, and I thought Junu's outfits were really cool. They were like 2016 streetwear. Which I loved.
Roommate also has a sweater that looks like it just says women on it, which is so funny.
It looks like it's a knit sweater, and it looks like it's a jersey style, like it's knit in the style of what a sports jersey should be. And it just says, it looks like it says women 27, and I lost my mind. But it says moment 20.
If this was a better program.
I want the women's sweater.
I'm writing that down for a birthday present or something.
I mean, listen, your wife does crochet.
We'll talk. I'll talk to her.
Listen. Asking her to crochet me a sweater would be too big of an ask. But if she wants to crochet one for a stuffed animal, I will gladly take it.
We'll figure something out.
Anyway, back to the show. I'm trying to like somehow avoid talking about because we're getting into the pits here.
Listen, I think that our podcast is good. I think it's very good when we are trying not to talk about the media that we're talking about.
This is where we get to me wanting, like, I went through such an arc with Yeonji because I love her, but this is where I start to go, okay, you've been in love with him for 3 years. You think you are deluding yourself into thinking he's falling in love, so that must mean he's falling in love with you. And then Mijo's also acting different, and you think she's in love with Jason, who isn't, honestly. Love him. And then we start to get to a point where she, like, I think that maybe after, so Mijo sets up Yeonji and Junu on a date, and she like makes him lunch, and it looks delicious, and they like sit and eat, and she like tries to do all these puns for him to make him laugh and all this stuff, and then he just like doesn't care, and then Mijo does this diabolical thing where she's like, you should tell him you like someone and then ask him to practice getting like you confessing with him. Mm-hmm. And so she like says, she's like makes him practice with her and then reaches for his hand and he like flinches and walks away. Girly pop, at that point we give up.
Right.
At that's it. Like if we had not already received the signal that this man does not want you, then that's the big, bright, beautiful bat signal. And the fact that she kept deluding herself into thinking DJ Junu liked her and it was like the crux of her character, I was like, Yeonji, I have kind of gone beyond you deserve better to I actually think you're starting to deserve exactly what you're getting.
Yeah,
which is an important learning experience in every young woman's life. I had to go through it. I'm saying it with love, but it's true.
Listen, I just think it is a Sakura Haruno problem, right? Where it's like, well, what's your character's whole deal? They're in love with somebody who's not in love with you. Okay, great. That's it. No more character development needed.
On a scale of 1 to Sakura, how assassinated is your character?
Right. Pouring out. Yeah, like it's sad to watch this bit because it is just like it makes me like Mijo less because like Junu is constantly being like, hey, let's go meet up somewhere, and then she sends Yeonji to go die in her place like a fucking sacrifice, and Yeonji's like, I thought that this was, you wanted to hang out with me, and he's like, no, I wanted to hang out with our old neighbor.
Yeah, there's a part. There's some meat in the middle here that we'll get to in a second, but there's a part at the end where like they could, like Junu confesses his feelings or whatever, and he's like trying to get Mijo to hang out with him, and she does some pretty great deflecting, and he like offers her all these options. She's like, no, and he said, well, what about the tree? I'm going to go to the tree. I'm going to wait for you at the tree. And she sends Yeonji as they're both having like a mental breakdown, her and Junu. I'm like, we've gone from mischievous to cruel.
Right. It's a dereliction of duty as a love counselor, certainly, as a friend, yes. Absolutely. Like, and girl.
This is why you got to get degrees in this shit. Mm-hmm. Take some oaths,
100%. I guess
we haven't even talked about the past shit.
Yeah, do you want to talk about it?
No. So Juno's whole thing is that he is an orphan. He survived a bus crash. And so we see in various flashbacks. Well, okay. We, the audience, have put together that Mijo is the woman who saved young Juno and it saved his life and like gave him a jade ring as a gift when he was like grieving his parents. But those two idiots don't at all. Even though Juno's like, oh, a woman saved me from a bus crash. I think if I saved a 6-year-old from a bus crash, I would remember having done that. But she doesn't remember having done that until he shows her the jade ring he wears around his neck, like on the necklace. And that's when she starts having her existential crisis. We get these like flashbacks of her comforting him as a child, like giving him the same candy that she still eats. As like a setup of the fact that they've like met before. And that's why he recognized her. But then I guess she convinced him that she wasn't that lady, but then she is that lady. And then she didn't remember saving him from the bus crash until he showed her a jade ring, which jade rings are like rare, but they're not that rare. Like people wear them in East Asia.
So in the tabletop sphere, there is a game called 1,000-Year-Old Vampire by Tim Hutchings. It's a staple of the solo journaling genre. And the premise of that game is you are a vampire who has lived for 1,000 years. But because you've lived for so long, you have to like preserve your memories, which like mechanically start to degrade over time. And I think that if the show had leaned into that, about how somebody who has 1,000 years of memories maybe loses them along the way, this would have worked, right? You could have been like, okay, yeah, she's lost herself. She's struggling to keep her identity together, and she's looking for somebody to anchor her. Maybe that works.
And you can tie it into the fact that she has all these objects from all these exes in her apartment, right? Like she needs something physical. And we could have a through line in the show of her looking for her second jade ring. And then him having it.
That is also mechanically part of 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. So yeah, no, 100%. More K-dramas should adapt tabletop RPGs is what I'm saying.
I would fuck with lasers and feelings ass K-drama.
Yeah, 100%. That would be sick. Anyway, I think like the emotional climax of this like show is actually when Juno goes and finds her turtle.
That was the last episode I watched last night at 3 a.m. because I forgot we were doing a mini series. I was like, if that turtle's dead, I will not be able to sleep.
Just ruined your night by this, 10-year-old K-drama on YouTube. That would be rough.
I love Beak. Beak is great. That's the turtle's name is Beak. There's a really great scene in which Misho is trying to teach it to be faster.
Yeah, it's just complete, like, it's like a 3-second cutaway before Juno comes into the room, but it's an incredible, just like, that's what she does in her spare time. She does calisthenics with her turtle, which fucking owns. And if we'd seen more of that, I would have liked her more.
And uses a neck scratcher, which was also a great part of her character.
Right.
She's gesturing with the red neck scratcher all the time.
Right. There are flashes of brilliance in this program.
Yeah, give it to us to reboot.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, Juno like helps her find the turtle after he escapes, which is a hilarious concept.
That was cute. I liked that.
It was cute. It was great.
I liked when he shows up. Like she's upset looking for the turtle, and she walks away and she starts searching on her own. He like spends the day thinking about it, then shows up to help her, and he sees she's distraught, sends her home, and is like, "Hey, I will finish." And then he's like very thorough in looking and like finds this turtle in this pile of trash. He's afraid of reptiles. He still braves it, picks it up, brings it home to her. I thought that was very sweet. Did I then care for the fact that she said nothing and then he walked away and then she ran upstairs to hug him from behind? That was fucking nothing to me. Talk to each other.
I mean, it did absolutely remind me of the Sakura Naruto or Sasuke thing where she runs up behind Sasuke and hugs him before he teleports behind her and knocks her unconscious.
Have we talked about on this program, have we talked about the fact that in a side novel you learn that the when Sasuke proposes to Sakura, the ring isn't real, it's fucking genjutsu. And she's fine with that?
What? What are you talking about, Leyla?
That's real.
I've seen every episode of Naruto. What are you talking about?
It's in a novel. It's in a side novel.
No, it's not.
It's
not real. You've been genjutsu'd because no one would fuck up that character. No one could. I can't believe the chokehold this nearly 30-year-old program has on me, where I should still get incensed about a shitty teen with magic eyes. I literally bear the curse of that program on my back, and this is what it gets me.
This broke bitch. So again, this is a novel quote I'm finding. It's, I don't have a ring for you, but I want you to wear something more meaningful, important, something that's a big part of me. I want to share it with you. I want you to wear the Uchiha crest on the back of your clothes for the rest of your life. So he gave her a job, which is to stencil his family crest onto all her clothes. Fuck this asshole.
That's very funny. It's a very Sasuke thing to be like, you know, my whole family that's all dead. Now you're going to wear their logo. You're going to do advertising for them for the rest of your life. That's, yeah, sure, whatever. Naruto is my favorite program, maybe of all time. And also, it kind of sucks.
The voice actors for Naruto and Sasuke, Junko Takeuchi and Noriaki Sugiyama, took the opportunity to chat at Anime Japan, with the conversation heading towards how the father of Sarada Uchiha, mwah, love her, would have proposed to Sakura, which is a scene that we were never able to see in the anime series proper. Takeuchi says, to be honest, I wanted something to be created that would show us how he proposed to her, you know? One thing I'm sure of is that poke in the forehead was involved. Like, don't you want to marry me? And gives her a poke in the forehead. Isn't that it? I can't imagine anything else. I'm killing myself.
He's not wrong. It's just that that's a shitty way to do it.
Anyway, this show, back to the show we're trying to discuss. The turtle was good. The stuff immediately after it did nothing for me. And then
we get to the part where Breast Cancer Man dies, right?
Rip. Love that they used his actor headshot for his shrine photo.
Yeah, I mean, it was good.
Really
I was like,
good.
oh, at first I was like, couldn't recognize him because I was like, is this a different man? Because it's just like, you know, his professional headshot, which is really funny. I don't know. Breast Cancer Man bugged me because I was like, is it not well known that men can get breast cancer?
It is not. So PSA, everybody, men can get breast cancer.
I just bugged the hell out of me because I was like, it's not really funny. I mean, like, I understand that they're playing it as a joke and like the joke is that men don't have boobs, but like, I don't know. And it bugged me.
Believed that he had breast cancer, but I did not believe he had 3 months left to live.
Yeah. So that was a shock because then they're like, oh, hey, here's an actual serious character death, which was one of the more emotionally affecting things in this program.
Yeah, Fiona was straight up weeping.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But also, like, she was like, you know, I don't regret it because we, you know, even though it didn't last for a long time, we still had something special. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge at Mijo. But then, like, okay, we get to the part where Juno confesses his feelings, right? He shows the ring as you talked about, and then Mijo is like, okay, I have feelings for you too, and then but she starts avoiding him because she's like, you're gonna die, and I'm gonna live forever. So I'm scared of what might come out of this. She like plans to move. You know, she talks with Jason. Jason's like, you know, I'll go with you. I'll make sure you're not alone. And then, like, basically, what happens between that and the part where Mijo gets fucking laid out by a car?
She starts moping and listening to his song, and he starts moping and listening to his song, and they're walking on
Very
opposite
funny
sides
thing
of
to do, by the way. Next time I get sad, I'm just going to listen to this podcast. I'm like, oh, man, I need something to cheer me up. The sound of my own voice.
I've fallen asleep to this podcast multiple times. Sometimes I run out of how did this get made episodes.
Podcast. It's a good podcast.
Yeah. Sometimes I run out of how did this get made, and you know I need some friendly voices to lull me to sleep. And then sometimes we're very funny. So they're walking on opposite sides of the street. Shout out, Mijo has a Walkman, which I love.
It's really good.
And they're walking, and then they stare at each other sadly from across the street, 5 centimeters per second style, which I hate. And then one of them sheds one tear, and then Mijo tries to go after him and get this. Okay, Aaron, I need you to know something about K-dramas. It's not a real K-drama if someone doesn't get hit by a car, and I'm being so serious.
That's very funny.
You have to get into a car accident. So you have to get hit. So Business Proposal, he just straight up got into a car accident, like he crashed his car. Usually it's somebody getting hit by a car, just like Mijo did. I did like that she healed in front of people, including her therapist, who was the one who hit her.
That's really good.
And then, that's when she talks to Juno and is like, you're going to look at me like I'm a monster because I'm immortal. And they have a stupid back and forth. And then Jason, just sweet Jason, beautiful Jason, who's like, I told you I would never leave you alone. Like, let's leave together. And she goes, okay. And then she doesn't do that. And then Juno comes and I don't know. It's all just so stupid. And then Jason's playing the long game. He's like, when you're done with him, come see me. That's right.
Hilarious thing to be like, yeah, whenever you break up with this idiot, I'm going to live forever. So I'll see you around, which is very cool.
Love that for him. And then the 10th episode is nothing.
It's crazy to me that they do this. They resolve all of the romantic tension, and then there's still like 14 minutes left of the episode. It's like, what are you going to do here? And the answer is they're going to go to a concert. The concert
Stupid.
that Juno is supposed to be at.
Stupid.
It's dumb.
Stupid.
It sucks.
Dumb. Hate it.
There was like an actual like it's not K-Dot because that's Kendrick Lamar, but there's like
Shout out.
But there's a guy there who's like a real actual hip hop artist that shows up and does like a cameo in that episode, so that's fun. But like as I said in my notes, no one does it like my girl Amber FX. If it was Amber FX, I would have turned my opinion around on this whole show. Yeah, 100%. So we already talked about how the doctor gets gaslit at the Mythomania support group after he runs over Mijo. That's very funny that Juno shows up and he's like, actually, this guy's an insane person, by the way. I know I've just been sitting here with my hood up the whole time, but
what's up with Juno taking on kind of a black accent at the end there? Or as much of a black accent as you can have in Korean.
He's a rapper.
That's true.
Their name is Crunk Soul. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's very clearly appropriative.
True. I look at 6 out of 10.
I mean, that's what it's at IMDb. We have to, real quick, before we end this, it's revealed at the very end of the program that Jason was the ninja.
I missed that because I stopped.
You didn't see it? Oh my god! Okay, so at the very last shot of this program is Jason in the shower, shirtless, and he takes on almost a completely different tone. He's very serious, and he's like, I've waited for 1,000 years. And I'll wait 1,000 more. And you see the tattoo that the ninja had on his arm. And he's just like, yeah, I'll keep waiting for you, baby. So yeah, that's fucking crazy. I love that that's how the program ends because it's so funny.
There is a better program in here, and it is about Jason.
There is. There is. I think we can, and maybe we will in our marketing minute create a better episode, a better program. But yeah, no, there's some really interesting ideas happening here, and just unfortunately they were not brought to the forefront.
That's true. This exhausted me. This I was just frustrated the entire time because I found Judo as a character unlikable, and he didn't have a lot of chemistry with Mijo, and it was tonally weird, which isn't abnormal for a K-drama because they do all those Looney Tunes ass sound effects and shit all the time. And the reason I really liked Business Proposal is because it was it just didn't buy into its own bit, and
right.
I need everything to buy into the bit. Business Proposal was straight up I'm going to fake date my billionaire boss, and he's kind of a douchebag, Kaiba style, but we're going to work on it together. And they work at a frozen food conglomerate, and there's a lot of passive aggressive like food testing that happens. It's just like it starts insane, and there's good female friendships that are really solid, and I was frustrated.
That I understand. I also felt frustrated, but real quick, I just got the email. We've been greenlit to revamp the second seaon.
Love.
Hey, Leyla, what is more of this program?
We start with Junu's funeral.
Oh, shit. Hell yeah.
We bury that bitch. The year is 2067.
Hell yeah. All right.
We're doing Love for 1,000 Cyberpunks.
Yeah, no. Yeah, now it's the cyberpunk future. They have to. America has fallen, and
yes.
They have to go. What's his name? Jason has to take Mijo away to go do some sort of rescue mission. They're donating blood, is actually what they're doing.
Yes,
they're donating blood in the ruins of America because America's healthcare system or they're selling blood because America's healthcare system is now cyberpunk.
Love.
More cyberpunk than it already is.
Love.
And I mean, maybe this is where we get, God, what is a fun way to introduce the concept? Maybe they like resurrect someone from her past. Maybe one of her dead exes from the Shoshin dynasty shows up, and
he's
that's
AI,
the main antagonist.
and she doesn't know what computers are, so she believes it.
Oh, yeah, that's really fun.
Mijo gets lost in the sauce in character AI.
That's how you defeat an immortal. Is you get them addicted to one of those chatbots. Oh God. Yeah. No, we could make 10 episodes about that easily.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be funny. It would be like kind of scary. Actually, I think this would be a horror series. The thing we're bitching, but like it would be good.
I mean, I feel like that's the Harvey Guillen movie that just came out, Companion, right? Because he has like an AI boyfriend.
Oh, I haven't heard about that, but that sounds interesting.
We'll watch the trailer off air.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Leyla, when we are not, as always, pitching better products than anybody is making in anywhere in the world, where can we be found on the internet?
You can find me at LEYLSES on Blue Sky. I keep almost saying Twitter. Blue Sky and Tumblr.
I miss it, but it's gone.
I don't. Fuck that place. Fuck Elon Musk. I don't care if that gets me arrested in 6 months. Currently, I am posting about Four Nations Face Off, which is the hockey tournament. We are currently losing to Sweden, which is fine because my captain, Rasmus Dahlin, is on Team Sweden. So get their asses, baby. And that's how I'm drowning my sadness. Aaron?
You can find me on Blue Sky at AA Voigt, Tumblr at Monster Factory Fanfic, and my video essays on tabletop games at AA Voigt on YouTube. If you like Remedy Entertainment's Control, I highly recommend you check out my video on Triangle Agency, which compares those two works and kind of figures out how they're both kind of like fucking with you, which I think is it's one of my better videos. So please go check that out. You can. Our theme song is "Obsolete" by Keshco from the album Filmmaker's Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshco.bandcamp.com. Leyla, how shall we close out this episode?
Love is worthless.
Amen. We'll see you all next time.